Welcome back to Kristen and Katie Read. I'm Kristen.
I'm Katie.
And we like to read. Today is the last day of February.
It is the very last day of February, so we thought that we would go over the books that we read this month.
Yeah, so a fast month, obviously, with it being 28 days and all.
Definitely read less books this month.
Less books were read, but that's because we read really long books.
Absolutely.
This month. So we just wanted to hop on and kind of talk about what we read, what's going on, and everything like that.
And next month is loaded with releases, so
oh my gosh,
very excited about that.
Yes. So February, I redid my bookshelf.
And it looks amazing.
So we might do a bookshelf tour in March after I get it completely finalized. You know, all your books are cramped in. You want to give them space to breathe, turn some of them sideways so you can look at the beautiful covers. So I'm very excited about it. So I did that.
Yeah, that's great.
What did you do in February?
I turned one of my bookshelves from vertical to horizontal.
Whoa, big moves. Look out.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't do a lot. I watched a lot more TV this month, I feel like, than reading. But also, we read such big books that I was like, okay, on to the next big book that we're reading.
Yeah.
So,
very, very big books.
I was shocked by how little books I'd read when I feel like I had been reading all month.
Yeah, I almost feel like I've been reading more this month and was surprised when I'd only read 5 books.
Yeah, same.
So we read mostly the same books this month. I read one book by myself and you did as well? Yes. So let's just jump right in and discuss. We're going to talk about the books that we read, a short synopsis, our rating, and if we would recommend it.
And as with our monthly recaps, no spoilers. So.
Yes, this is spoiler free. No worries at all. Okay, so I read the 3rd book in the Bridgerton series, An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn.
I read the 3rd book in the Bromance book club series, Crazy Stupid Bromance, which is a reference to one of our favorite movies, Crazy Stupid Love.
Wow!
So incredible.
It's already made its way into literature.
I know. And then the 4th book comes out this year, and it's called Isn't It Romantic?
Wow, I love that. And then after those books, we were like, let's transition out of romance. Psych! We read A Court of Silver Flames,
which is basically romance with fantasy in it.
Which is my favorite.
I love it.
Yes, so obviously Sarah J Maas is this her first adult fantasy, like purely adult fantasy? That's the genre it's in?
I thought that
Crescent City
was.
Okay, so this is taking the Courts series and transitioning it from YA or new adult or whatever we were calling that into fully adult. And wow, she lets you know right out of the gates. F-bombs. Flying about.
F-bombs abound, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then after A Court of Silver Flames, we both read the Conjuring of Magic series. All 3.
The Shades of Magic.
We read the Shades of Magic series located directly above my head.
Yep, we read all 3 of those. A Darker Shade of Magic, a Shadows Gathering?
A gathering of shadows, and A Conjuring of Light.
And A Conjuring of Light.
Yes. So with that, we'll just dive on in. So, An Offer from a Gentleman, the Bridgerton series by Julia Quinn, is about Benedict. So if you're watching the Netflix show, they actually do a lot of introduction with Benedict. You actually see quite a bit of his life. But essentially he is the 2nd eldest Bridgerton in, I don't even remember the time period. It's a Regency era romance. So this is my favorite one by far. It is straight up a Cinderella retelling. Absolutely, like full on evil stepmom, evil step siblings. She does their house cleaning. Like, it's a very serious Cinderella moment.
Well, and the first 2 Bridgertons aren't fairy tale retelling.
No, so I was very confused when it started. And then I also am not usually a fairy tale retelling. I don't really like them usually. And I was shocked how much I liked it. I felt like Benedict and his love interest, her name's Sophie, were the best couple to follow, the most interesting, the most passionate. Ooh. And I think Benedict is like the most progressive. I just like really, really liked it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was sweet. Yeah, I would say by far my favorite Bridgerton book thus far.
So what is your Goodreads rating?
Goodreads rating, I would say 5 out of 5. My personal rating, 8.5 out of 10. I feel like I can't say 8 because that's 4.
Right.
I would get it close to a 9, and this is just for purely like romance specific genre. If I was comparing it to all books that I love, it would drop down for sure. Because I'm not a huge purely which is weird because I need romance in every book I read.
Yeah.
But I prefer like a fantasy romance. So I really enjoyed it. It's fun. If you like the Bridgerton show, or if you like romance, like I think this is my favorite one thus far. The novels are much more individual stories. While the other family members are like in it occasionally, it's more focused on whichever sibling that particular book is on. It's them the whole time.
Yeah.
There's barely any other character interaction. So if you wanted to just pick this one up, you could. I have the 4th one checked out from the library, and it's about Colin, so we'll see how that goes. Okay. But yeah, if you like romance, I don't know why you wouldn't like this. If you like the Bridgerton show, just know it's not as good, but you might also enjoy it.
Okay, Crazy Stupid Bromance is the 3rd book. We both read 3rd books in a
I know.
Series. It is about 2 characters that we meet in the first 2 books, and they met because the main character, Alexis, is a survivor of sexual assault, and in the 2nd book, she kind of has to come to terms, or she comes to terms with what happened to her, and she meets her love interest in the 2nd book. And then a lot of time passes in between the 2nd and 3rd book, which I wasn't expecting. And they've become best friends.
Oh.
So it's a best friends to lovers trope.
I like that.
And it's really sweet because he just wants to be in her life. He like fell in love with her instantly, but was like, she's not ready for a relationship. I'm just gonna like let her be, but I want her in my life. And then they obviously spend a lot of time together. Alexis finds some huge things about her past and her family, and it's really great.
Cool. What would you give it for a Goodreads rating?
4 out of 5 on Goodreads.
Okay.
8 out of 10 personally. The Bromance Book Club series, for me, is like not my favorite kind of romance.
Yeah.
I just feel like for a romance, it is not steamy enough, and
Yeah.
I stand by that. Although their steamy scenes were a lot better. They're spicy, but for me, like you said, comparing it across the romances that I like in the genre, it's definitely not my absolute favorite. But they're really fun and cute, and I would definitely recommend them if you're looking for like a beach read.
Okay. I like that, a beach read recommendation. I feel like that's a specific vibe.
Yeah.
Okay, so next book. A Court of Silver Flames.
On the side of the face.
Buddy. By Sarah J Maas.
But also watch Clue.
Wow. I don't have a physical copy because I have the audiobook and the Kindle version.
Oh, I should have brought mine over because it's huge. If you haven't seen it in person,
enormous.
It's the biggest book I've ever seen.
It's 758 pages, but then if you look on Goodreads, it says 768 pages, and I don't know if that's including like the extra stories at the end.
Yeah, I bet it's hard to determine because so many different, there are different versions.
Yes.
So, Barnes & Noble.
Did you buy the Barnes & Noble one?
I bought the Barnes & Noble one.
Okay, then let's go to Books A Million and I'll buy the Books A Million version
you
today.
need to buy the Books A Million version.
Look out, folks! We're going on an adventure!
We're going on an adventure because
there are bonus stories.
There are bonus stories and they're different in both books, so I bet that's why. Because on my Kindle, it was 758 too, and there's no bonus material.
Yeah.
So.
Which I liked reading it on the Kindle because I could follow along especially when they would get to like heavy exposition, I could be like, I need to see the words that are being said.
Yeah.
Because I like to listen, especially for a book of that size, like listen to it while I'm doing my makeup in the morning and things like that. But then I would like highlight certain parts of it. I'm like, I want to look into this more. Obviously a very popular series. People on the internet do a lot of digging for me. So I just like bookmarked and flagged pages that I needed to come back to. But I wanted to wait for the paperback because I don't know if you can see like in here, I have the paperback versions of the first 3 and then the novella. But I just think I'm going to get the hardback.
Well, also it's the different
Right, cover. I have the original covers, and so I was thinking if they were paperback, at least they would be the same size. But at this point, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think I like the other covers now. Am I going to get them in the other?
This is a hot take. This is something we disagree on.
I like for things to match.
I agree.
And I like the simplicity of them, and
it just doesn't really match her other series. Like the first cover is like match Thrown in Glass, and like Crescent City has a person on the cover.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, I just liked that they all kind of have the same feel.
Yes.
But obviously, I would like for all of my covers to match in a series. But I also kind of sometimes imagine A Court of Silver Flames as being the start of its own series.
Because it really feels different. Let's back up. Let's discuss what this book is in case you don't know. A Court of Thorn and Roses is about Feyre, a human girl who gets taken to the fairy realm, and adventure ensues in romance.
And the first 3 books are just about her.
Yes. While her sisters are in it and there's other characters introduced, she is our main POV basically the whole time.
The entire time.
And great, I really love the world that was built. We can discuss it a later time. We feel like there's some errors in some of the ways that Feyre tells the story, or that she contradicts herself sometimes. So I was a little hesitant going into this next series. When she announced she was going to do more with these characters, I was already on edge. But then it was announced it was going to be an adult version, so she could be spicier, which is what I personally care the most about.
It works.
And just tackle more adult issues. And you can just tell she's not holding anything back, and I think that's what she was holding back in the other one.
Agreed.
And then you're also getting from other characters' points of view. So going into that, this one is from her sister Nesta's perspective. Again, these are very popular series. I'm sure you've seen about them, but I adored this book. I loved it.
I read it twice.
Wild. So really, Katie's read like 3,000 pages this month.
Yeah, I literally finished it at like 3 in the morning on a school night, and then I just started over. I just flipped to the front. Well, I was on my Kindle, so I just tapped to the front, and it was. I mean, the reread was great too. It was incredible.
So you're still in the same world, and you're just learning more about the different courts in the fairy realm, as well as the world at large. You spend more time with other characters, just diving into more like deeper lore and like mythology that she's exploring outside of just fairies.
Yes.
And I like that a lot. Or fairies, not the right word, fae.
Yeah, the fae.
I don't know why I said fairy, but you know, it's similar.
And we're going to have a longer discussion about this book.
Yes.
In the next week or two, because we have a lot to say.
Yes. So I would highly recommend it. You do need to read the other ones first. Like, although this is the start of a new series, it just doesn't make sense unless you start with the other ones.
Yeah, the characters that you meet in this one and the history that they have, you have to have the background knowledge of the 3 first books.
But I would say if you find anything frustrating about the original series, like, I definitely think it's worth sticking to and like keep going. This book is worth reading. This one really reminds me of A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. Like, we get so much more romance. It's sexy, folks. It's sexy.
Sexy Sunday.
Sexy. Yeah, so 5 out of 5 on Goodreads for me.
Same.
And 10 out of 10.
I agree. It's a 10 out of 10 book.
I think it's
found it.
So far, my favorite book I've read this year. Stay tuned for updates.
It's a sweeping declaration. I don't know if I'm ready to say that yet.
Yeah.
But I definitely enjoyed it.
It's tough because A Chain of Iron hasn't come out yet. And like my girl Cassandra knows how to just get to my emotions I didn't know. That I didn't know were there, honestly. So the last 3 books that we read were all from the same series, from the
Shades of Magic series.
The Shades of Magic series by VE Schwab. This is our first time diving in.
This was our first VE Schwab endeavor.
Books, yeah.
And
you guys made us do it.
yes.
Bookstagram is obsessed with this series. And you guys have good taste.
This was definitely a Bookstagram, BookTube inspired read for us.
100%.
Which
Loved
is so
it.
funny that we didn't read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue.
I know.
Everyone is like, how have you not read this book?
I know. Well, I think because that one hadn't come out yet, and I put the series on my Christmas list, and I got the box set for Christmas.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna read that first because even though hype train for Addie LaRue, but I still don't know any spoilers from Addie LaRue.
I don't either.
I just know everyone loves it. So again, there she is. Very beautiful cover.
I don't know that.
Yeah, VE is chilling over here.
But it definitely made us want to read more by her. It made me even more excited to read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I know that her series Villains is really, really popular. I have 7th graders who love books by her that she wrote that are specifically young adult teen books.
Are they like middle grade?
Yeah, I think it's called City of Bone. Or not the Bone City.
Oh, I was like, what?
No. Oh no, I can't remember. But it has like a bunch of skulls on the cover.
Oh, okay.
She has a very set
kind of like aesthetic. Yeah.
Of that like black, white, and red.
Which is a classic.
Oh yeah.
Looking at you, Shelby Mahern. It's so good.
It's so good.
How like those colors are just, especially when you're talking about magic, like I think those colors just go really well together. So let's back up. Synopsis. This is a story about 4 different versions of London. So a multiverse story. 4 different Londons, and they're color coded. So we have red London, gray London, white London, and black London, which has fallen. No one can go to black London. So you have different magicians within these worlds that have different powers that are connected basically to elements, is the best way to understand it. Some people are blessed with like magic that can control maybe 2 elements, but beyond 2 elements is not really common.
It's pretty rare.
And then you have these individuals that are very, very rare that are born that are called Antari that can control all of the elements. And to our understanding, when the series starts, there are only 2 Antari, one from Red London and one from White London, and there are no other Ataris left, and they're the only ones who can travel between worlds.
Yes, and the only ones that can use blood magic.
Who can use blood magic. So the reason to travel back and forth is some of the worlds have more magic than others. Some of them are like struggling for resources. So kind of obviously wanting your world and your London to be the most successful is kind of how the story unfolds. And then of course, when there's magic in play, there's people who are grabbing for power. So that's kind of how the story unfolds. It's interesting because it definitely could be read by younger people. Like I would say anybody in like middle school or high school age and above. Obviously we are adults, and I really loved it.
Loved it.
It's dark, but not too dark.
It is an adult fantasy book.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the adult section, which I was shocked.
Yeah, because I don't think it's that hard to like follow and understand.
No.
By no means saying like it's like overly simple or anything.
And there's also not a lot of, I mean, I would say the most graphic things are that like people do die.
Yes.
But there isn't like overly sexualized.
And I don't think
scenes.
they curse really.
No, yeah. It's like Lila curses and that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I just really found myself falling into this world, and she so easily creates a very intricate universe. And I think the thing we both agree on the most is like not enough questions are answered. So what's great is she's doing a follow-up series.
Yes, we found out.
So stoked.
She's doing a sequel series. There will be new main characters, but also surviving characters from the original series will also be an intricate part.
Amazing. So we're probably going to do a deep dive of
This trilogy
and go into spoilers, but I mean, I just have to recommend this, but like go read this series.
Definitely. I think I gave the first one a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, just because there were themes that I didn't super love, but like 4 out of 5 is still great. And then I immediately started reading the second book and I was like, wow, this is incredible.
I mean, she definitely hit the level up button. Like book 2, I really liked book 1, and then it was over really fast, I felt like. And then book 2, I just fell in love with. I loved book 2.
Well, book 1 also, it's a lot of world building. We don't know anything about the 4 Londons. We don't know anything about this kind of magic. And it really, I felt, focused heavily on 2 main characters, whereas the second and third books expand and focus on more characters, more aspects of the world, where you're oriented in what's happening, but you're still learning new things.
Yeah.
And so that's why I felt like it's not the first book's fault. It had a lot of heavy lifting to do.
Yes. Well, and then I found myself being like, okay, this is where the story's going, but then it didn't go that direction. So I think rereading it, knowing where it goes, I might even like the first one better. But she introduces so many potential plot lines, but then obviously a big bad comes into play and we have to put everything else on pause to like take care of this bad thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but what about all this stuff? It just left me hungry for more. And
oh yeah.
I love it.
Definitely. I mean, as a series, 5 out of 5 Goodreads.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 for me. I can't wait to dive back in and reread it.
Yeah. And it has romance. It has romance. Of course,
yes.
I would always say I would love more, but this is definitely, I mean, we're not talking Sarah J Maas level romance, but there's like some really, really sweet moments.
Yeah, I would
say it's like, but more than Grishaverse romance.
Yes, I agree. And there are multiple people that you're kind of rooting for, but also at the heart of this story it's a story about brothers.
Yes. And it's so sweet. It's, a story of family, found family.
Found family, yeah, because they're adopted brothers.
Yes.
Which you know right away, so that's not spoiler.
Yeah, so we would highly recommend. That's February, folks.
February. That was
blink your eyes, it's gone.
A short month.
I know.
I had COVID for the first part.
That's so true. Thank God we're back together.
I know.
Zoom is like not my favorite. Our Zoom calls. Good Lord.
Oh man.
So what a steamy month. The month of love.
The month of love. Sexy month.
I wonder if that's why she released A Court of Silver Flakes this month. So sexy.
Looking forward.
Yes.
3 big books come out next month. Well, you have to read Fable.
I want to read Fable. Okay, guys. So next, let's do a soft TBR. Let's just discuss March and what we're excited about.
So absolutely, we will be immediately reading Chain of Iron on Tuesday.
It comes out on Tuesday. So it comes out on Tuesday. I leave Wednesday to go to Disney World, and I'm lugging that boy around. Why did I call it a boy? I normally call it like a bad boy. Like I'm like that bad boy, like you know what I mean?
Look at that boy around. Not James. The book.
Well, just James Harrington. Or is that his last name? Yeah.
Aaron.
What am I saying?
I met your husband.
Oh yeah, well that's awesome. Okay, back up. I leave for Disney World on Wednesday, so I am going to be reading Chain of Iron in line for rides and whatnot. So super excited about that. What else?
So then 2 weeks later, Namesake comes out, which is the last book in the Fable series. It's just a duology. I know, and I cannot wait to dive back in. I love Fable.
Oh my gosh.
So stressed about where it was left off. So Namesake is going to be like right after Chain of Gold. You're gonna thinking to read Fable,
and then from there,
and then 2 weeks after that,
a Rule
of Wolves comes out.
You guys, March is killing me already.
I
can feel my emotion. Oh my gosh. Rule of Wolves is so stressful.
I know.
The fact that we're going to get the conclusion of the Grishaverse before Shadow and Bone, the Netflix show, even comes out is
crazy.
Freaking wild. Also, the Darkling. Wow.
Sexual.
Sexy.
Talk about sexy.
Talk about sexy, my God.
Oh my gosh, the Darkling.
I'm like, boy, bring the darkness over here.
I mean, Ben Barnes, they couldn't have guessed it better.
No, it's perfect. So that's just 3 books alone that are going to rule our lives in March. What else are we wanting to read in March?
This Invisible Life of Out of the Room.
Oh yeah, we're gonna read that.
I also was given the suggestion to read Victorian Rebels. It's a romance series by Kerrigan Byrne. And I
Katie
was
will read
told
that for you guys
on Bookstagram that it's even better than her series that I love, which is Devil You Know. I love that series. It's How to Love a Duke in 10 Days.
Okay, all right.
An excellent title. And so this other series is like, I think the first book is called The Highwayman. So I'm very excited about reading that series.
We're so excited. So anyways, let us know what you guys read in February.
Yeah, and if you're excited about any of these books coming out in March,
oh my gosh,
that is weird. Clearly losing our minds.
Yeah.
so ready for Tuesday.
Yes. But yeah, you guys have a great month of reading. I'm Kristen.
I'm Katie.
And this is Kristen Katie Reed.